So we thought that we would begin with how do we shift sort of gender expectations and stereotypes at home to support and encourage and celebrate men doing these roles at home and as parents.
It starts with the children. That's when you have to do it. We have to start raising kids to understand that boys and girls are equally capable of taking care of children.
Right.
Part of what I read about is male privilege and female gatekeeping, which is exactly what you're talking about. Female gatekeeping is saying, no, that's not how you do it. There's one way to do it, I'm right. And male privilege is, well, it's a woman thing, you do it. So the only way that we get over that is to stop ingraining it in our kids.
Men need to learn and find places that can help them to do things there's all of these tools and resources and support and communities, out there for women to self-organize and get how-tos and tips and whatever. There isn't that for men. They're learning this stuff for the first time. So the only thing I would ask of women is to recognize that they're doing it in a dearth of information.
I was needed at home to care for my daughter for numerous reasons, and I was under this incredibly strange policy at CNN under which anyone could get 10 paid weeks unless you're a man who impregnated your own wife. The short version is that my wife was really sick and my daughter was born preemie and I was needed at home, and they still wouldn't give me an answer on whether I could have the policy, and then 11 days later I'm home holding my 4-pound preemie, caring for my sick wife, and that's when they said no. So I took legal action against that, and then that's what led to there's a lot of coverage of my story. It led to me learning why we are all in this together, why we all need to be fighting this fight, because what we're seeing with today's generation of fathers is that we are recipients of this awesome legacy of feminism in which we were raised to believe we can do everything. And then we got into the workplace and we discovered, well, actually, no, the policies are still based on gender. The policies are still women stay home, men stay at work.
What we're leaning in on here is the confluence of culture and policy, right? And that those two things can't actually exist without one another. They have to work in tandem. And so in terms of the policies that actually create the loyalty and the increased productivity and lower rates of turnover and all those things, it's the full package, right? Like, this is not surprising to anybody in this room. We are not just parents, we are not just workers, we have all these multiple identities, and so a package of workplace policies has to come together to address the kind of perfect storm that we are all experiencing. And so it's obviously equal pay, it's obviously paid family leave, it's also full health care benefits, right? It's all of these things actually have to come together to create both policies that work for people's family structures and increase flexibility and scheduling and all of those things. And it's the culture that has to support people actually being able to take advantage of those policies without fear of ramifications.
I think that business leaders need to set an example. There was a study that came out last week from Lean and McKinsey that showed that even at the companies that do offer these policies, 90% of workers, men and women, fear taking them because they think there will be repercussions. So how do you solve that? I don't know, company culture. The CEO should be taking it.
If you look at the data about millennials, if you look at the data about Gen Y workers, the people who are just coming into the workplace, men and women want the same things. This is no longer Mars and Venus. This is planet Earth. Women and men want the same things. Our job then is to develop workplaces, small or large, that allow everyone to get their plan A.
Yeah.
Right? And Josh, says this all the time, and I couldn't agree more. This is who the best talent is. Every corporation's out there looking who the best workers, the ones that we want. This is how we're going to leverage ourselves in this hyper-competitive workplace. We need these people.
One thing that really struck me, that just happened in the media was, I don't know if you guys saw when Joe Biden was on Stephen Colbert, and he was asked about whether he was running for president, and he sort of broke down, almost in tears, about the fact that he didn't know if he was ready, because, he'd lost his son, and just the sight of someone who is choosing, possibly, he hasn't maybe made his decision, family, over pursuing a position of power. So and seeing him get emotional and sort of weepy. And to me, like, that was really powerful.
Yeah, it was one.
Yeah.
Muskie, when he cried on television, that was the end of his
Yeah, the end of his career.
His career. It was the end of
But the other side of that coin is, can you imagine if Hillary did that?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh, Hillary crying, she can cry, she can
She's
cry.
too weak.
Everyone's
She's
watching
too
her, she
weak.
can cry.
Yeah, she's
So-
too weak, that's right.
You know, these conversations are happening, but are they happening on a mass scale? Like, I truly believe in the power of pop culture and of culture to change opinions, and I also believe in the power of humor to do that. And I think this is like a serious, not super fun issue to talk about. And if you can talk about it in a way that makes people laugh, but also to recognize where they're falling short, then that can be really powerful. But I mean, like, every time I do a panel, every time I talk about these issues, a room full of women. And like, and I don't know what the answer is, like, how do you get more men in the room?
Guys just need to know that they are welcome and safe in the conversation, but they won't be judged. The biggest
Think about
fear,
a man cave.
yeah, that's what they. I mean, the biggest fear for guys is that they will open their mouths about this, and people will say to them, "What do you know, you privileged man, especially a privileged white man, especially a privileged white middle class man." So ultimately, what it comes down to when we have these conversations is making guys feel safe about them, and usually the way to do that is to find the one or two who are the bridge, the one or two, like those three of us here tonight, who are comfortable joining it, and then let us keep bringing in more and more and more.